Not this morning.
Not this morning, yeah. Brian, what's happening at the moment on the canal?
Well, at the moment, Peter and team are involved in making gates. I'm sure he's told you about this.
Yeah.
For the summit level canal.
Yeah.
One at gates at Point Pass, and a gate then down at Campbell's Lock.
Yeah.
To try and put about 4. So they're at that today, and the latest I heard, they took a delivery.
Sean's going to help your mic there. There's a wee bit of a problem with it, but Sean, we'll sort that out momentarily, and then we're fine. So it's gate building, it's in the locks and keeping that right?
Yeah, and we have a number of activities going on. We have sort of bike ride safaris, which we organise as well, and some of our members were planting trees, and there's such a variety of work goes on. It's impossible.
And there's a certain person not too far away from us now would have green fingers in relation to the development of some planting areas. Yes. Liz.
That was something Geraldine had emailed me back in July last year, and this was to be a joint venture with Mon Cooley-Gulliam Geotourism.
Yes.
They wanted a garden where they could display samples of the rocks which make up our landscape. And Geraldine said neither she nor Alison from Geotourism knew anything about flowers, so could I give a bit of advice? And I thought I was just giving a little bit of advice, but it didn't quite work out.
And then back to your books again.
Yes.
But it didn't work out that way.
No.
But the lovely thing that I'm finding here, as the founding chairman of the Canal Preservation Society more than 40 years ago, is that strong, vibrant, new people are on the scene. Mm-hmm. You guys care.
Yes. It's really impossible not to get drawn into it.
Yeah.
And the more things happen, the more you want to get involved. And it just seems to be a snowball effect now, that so many things are happening, and there's a real enthusiasm, and people outside see it. There are results, and they are helping as well.
Yes, Brian, Newry man, canal is Newry. You have that commonality with the waterway.
Well, strange to say, Ron, I'm ashamed to say I didn't know very much about the inland part of the canal until actually the canal court opened. And if you go into the canal court, one of the things you see is Newry Canal, first inland waterway, 1731. And I only discovered that actually when the canal court opened. Now, I knew about the ship canal.
Oh, yes, yes.
Because I lived, as you know, in O'Neill Avenue, and we could look down and see the oak and the olive sail up not every day, but most days. Yeah, they were there. But the inland part, you know, from Sands's Mill down was it was a mystery to.
It's a whole new story, isn't it?
Yeah, and I began to wonder. I mean, this is one of the first canals in the United Kingdom and Ireland, and why I hadn't known about it, because it is a wonderful piece of engineering and social history, and I felt angry. So I thought, I'm going to find out more about this canal. So I started to read a wee bit about it, and then, lucky enough, I met in with Peter and Geraldine, and they asked to store and Portadown down.
Yes.
And next thing I know, I'm out with a shovel.
So you get more out of an Asda store than your weekly shop.
Certainly do.
But there is a lovely thing occurring, and it's almost unspoken, doesn't need to be spoken, but Portadown and Newry wouldn't be natural kind of bedfellows, so to speak. We're only distanced like 30 miles or something away, but we're not natural neighbours. Portadown is there in the heart of Ulster, Newry's here looking to the south and whatever.
Maybe I think that's a Newry thing. I mean, at one stage people from Camla were seen as sort of blow-ins to Newry.
That's right.
You know, I remember a gentleman coming to live in Newry. This was when I was a boy, and someone said, well, what right has he to come to live in Newry? You know, he's from Camla.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're only 18.5 miles apart.
Yeah.
And they're all, the thing that links them together, that we all have in common, you know, right from Newry through Scarva,
is the canal.
Is the canal, right through to Cool Island.
That's the point. So we're doing this wonderful exercise of restoration also is an exercise in neighbourliness, and that's all good, right along the way.
Yes, yes. There's a great enthusiasm for it. Any time I'd even be out walking on the canal, you sort of get into conversation with people, and they are really keen to have the canal developed.
Yes.
And I was talking to a woman just last Sunday, and she said, ever since I've been a wee girl, I have wanted to be able to sail up and down the canal. And I said, well, I had just been down checking in some trees that we'd planted last year to
Yes,
see how they were getting on. And I said, well, we are working on it. That's our ultimate aim, to have it opened. And she said, oh, that's wonderful, and wished us luck. So there's, and any time there's a work party, people stop and say, you're doing a great job. We have wanted to see something done here for so long. And everybody realises that money's the problem, that councils just don't have the money to throw around anymore. But if volunteers can step in and do it, then
And that's
why
what
not?
you're doing.
Yes.
I heard someone define a wise man once, or a wise woman. Someone who plants the trees that the future generations can take shade under. You're doing that with trees, you're doing it with the waterway. You know, when eventually there will be water music played and the boats shall go up and down, we'll all be long since gone. But you'll have started what's occurring, which is a great thing, you know, without a doubt. Now, your own family in Newry, you lived in O'Neill Avenue, Brian. You were very much aware of things like the gasworks.
Oh, yes.
You would have been aware of the canal, the boats coming and going, as you say. What's your earliest memories from O'Neill Avenue?
The earliest memories of O'Neill was actually standing at the front. You know, when I was fit, is looking at the boats sailing up and down the canal, and it reminded me of a scene from Lawrence of Arabia, where he's sort of coming to the Suez Canal.
Yes.
So you have this mountain of sand in the Suez Canal, and all of a sudden this boat sails up through the sand. It was a wee bit like that. But certainly, maybe I'm very romantic about the past, but that was a Newry I don't recognise now.
No, it's gone.
It's gone.
Oh,
and I mean, I even think of the old Abbey Square just there in front.
Abbey Yard.
Abbey Yard.
And the Dutch houses.
And the Dutch houses.
Yeah.
Shortly before this commenced, you were showing me a book of Newry with the old post office. The beautiful granite post office.
Absolutely.
Newry granite. Knocked down.
Knocked down.
So we destroy our heritage.
We are the great iconoclasts. We wreck, you know. It's the way it is.
But you made an important point about planting trees. I think it's important that local children, not just in Newry, but along the corridor of the canal, are aware of the history of the canal. You know, I think the way we preserve things is to have people, you know, pass on to new generations our wonderful history. You know, the things, you know, that we shouldn't be ignoring.
That I understand you guys are involved in that as well. You're doing that because one of your number from the Newry and Portadown branch has an educational pack he's bringing into schools.
That's Brian.
Is that you, Brian?
Brian, yes.
Oh, for goodness sake. How well you hide your light under the bushel.
It's probably a bit grand yet to call it an educational pack, but Peter and Geraldine, as you know, are very inspirational, and if you have an idea at all, the first thing to say to you is, right, well, would you mind doing that? So they throw out this challenge to you, which is, you know about this list, it's hard to resist. So I said, fair enough. So before Christmas, I surveyed 23 schools along the corridor from Newry right through, on the use they were making of the Newry Canal and what use they made of heritage and history facilities in the area. And now I know schools are extremely busy and big demands on them, but none of them really were making any, you know, use of the canal as an educational resource. They used things like the War Memorial and Navan Fort, and took children to County Museum and things like that. But so I decided I'd sort of try, and I wrote to them, and then I said, got the survey back and analysed it, and they were all willing to actually have someone come in from us.
Isn't that great? Because it's a living museum.
It is.
Yeah.
So I 3 weeks ago I was in the Hart Memorial School in Portadown, Hart Memorial Primary School, Key Stage 2. To tell the children about the canal. And try to make it exciting and, you know, fun.
And what kind of response did you get from the individual children? What was the content of their wow? What made them be mesmerized?
One of the things that I spoke to the teachers afterwards, and I asked them, you know, because I wouldn't be used to teaching 9 and 10-year-old children, and I said, well, was the content okay? Oh, yes, that was great. She says, they didn't fidget for over an hour. So that's a
Oh,
good
that's a good sign. It is a good sign. It is a good
and it's something
sign.
I wouldn't, if you
Yeah.
can sit and stop them fidgeting,
You're doing okay.
you're holding their interest.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, what did you do in life before you retired? What were you? What did you do?
before I retired, I was working with the University of Ulster. I was teaching research methods and statistics at Georgetown.
right.
So I
Born
really,
for it.
Yes.
I
Yes.
sort of 2 careers. That was how
Yeah.
my career ended up, and I retired.
Excellent. And Liz, what did you do in your professional life?
I worked in the housing executive.
Wow, that was it. You saw it under. Were you there a long time?
Not very long. I
No.
was in
Victor
and-
Blease's
in and-
day?
in and out.
No.
Yes, and then I was out for a while. Every time I had babies, I
Oh
stopped for
God,
a
yes,
while
it
and went
happens,
back in
doesn't
again.
it? Yeah. Yeah.
So I worked in land and property. I was buying
Yeah.
and selling land,
Yes.
and I really enjoyed that.
Well,
And
you
that-
would have a good head on you for canal lands, or you would. This isn't foreign to you. When you look at a stretch of land and water, you see its potential,
Yes, yes.
and that's what you're identifying. And
Yes.
you would walk the canal from the Portadown end, would you?
Generally, I would start off, no, not anywhere really, from Knockbridge or Madden Bridge or Scarva or Points
Yeah.
Pass. We try to walk the whole length of it in sections.
Fantastic, yeah.
But I would like to do it all in one day at some
Yes,
stage.
Yeah. Can I tell you, if I may, of the canal towpath walks? I'll tell you about the first one. A long time ago, and there was no pathway, and we went nearly to Scarva, and we carried with us machetes and saws to get through. And we arrived in Scarva with great jollification, brought into the pub in Scarva where Irish stew had been prepared for us.
Right.
And then there's the famous thing that was called, on the ship canal, canal tea, or tea. And canal tea on the ship canal was boiled canal water, which is very clean actually, seriously clean, absolutely, with Demerara rum, lemon and cloves. And we used to have that down there to celebrate various moments. And then of course we had my colleague, he's now dead and gone, John Donnelly. We introduced ducks to the canal because there were not ducks there at the beginning.
Yes.
And we went into the country and we got duck eggs, brought them back to my greenhouse in Daisy Hill Gardens in Newry, hatched out the ducks and brought them into the canal, let them
Yes.
go. That started all of that going.
Very good.
But there was a great fraternity for the canal over the years. So how absolutely wonderful to see the new branch of the Inland Waterways Association of Ireland. Yeah, it gives you additional power because you have a big support base
Yes,
nationally.
yes.
And indeed internationally, I suppose, because you guys, some of your folk were across the water with the people
right.
in
Yes.
the inland waterway system there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. So there was nothing at all along the canal. There was no way, not
No.
even a little path along
No,
the
nothing,
canal.
nothing. It was 40 years ago. It was just wilderness, wilderness, and
Yes.
you came along, and some of it you could walk it pretty easily. Some of it you had to hack away the bushes. That's what we did.
Then there was a wonderful little film I saw, Ronan. You were involved with it, called Canals and Railway.
Oh, that was
I don't know
the
what-
Clanrye Connections.
Beautiful
Yeah.
film.
It's a BBC film.
Yes, and I
Yeah.
mean a wonderful film showing the development. Of,
Yeah.
Talked about the roads developing.
That's right.
from
That's
Newry.
right. The man who produced that, I presented it, was a man called Davy Dillon.
Right.
Lovely man. He's now dead and gone. All of these people are dying all over the place. I need to watch myself and keep out of it. Keep bad company there with the canal. But Davy's gone. But he was great. We were in BBC together, and he was the genius. He was the man who really wanted. He was the canal, the great canalophile.
Yeah.
He loved the canal big time.
Right.
So do the folk in Portadown realise as much about the canal? You are Portadown, aren't you? Do you live? Where do you live?
No, I
You're
live,
Armagh.
No, I live sort of between, just outside Guildford.
Oh, I thought you were Portadown or Armagh.
I'm the porter.
I get confused. It's my age, you see. But the big thing is, we are aware of it in Newry,
yes.
and we feel it, and we feel ownership of it. Portadown.
Portadown, you see, was an integral part of that network right through to Coal Island.
The
As a matter of
lighters,
fact,
the lighters were built in Portadown.
The lighters were actually built in the foundry in Portadown.
That's right.
And not only that, but Portadown was accessible, you see, as well from the Lagan Canal.
Yes.
because they could come in up the Lagan Canal
Into
and across
Lough
to
Neagh.
Portadown. Yes, into Lough Neagh and across to Portadown. As a matter of fact, Cole had come in at that period. But Portadown was actually one of the largest inland, a bit like Coal Island itself, one of the
Yes.
largest inland ports in Ireland
Yeah.
at one
My
stage.
goodness.
And the river actually, if you're looking at it now, it doesn't give you a sense of the scale of it, because it was almost 100 meters, 100 yards across at one stage.
My God,
You see,
yes.
they contained the river after that, and you really don't. And there was actually 4 quays in Portadown. Those 2 quays belonged to Linen, and then there was the town quay and Shillington's quay. And so it was quite a big part of the Newry.
Yes.
I think that shouldn't be forgotten, although it's on the ban, you know, a navigation, but it's still an integral part of that network. And I think we should think of the whole thing as one, you know, the Newry
yeah.
Coal Island Canal,
Yeah.
rather than just thinking about if this is a Newry. Although that division has always been there. Whenever the Maritime Canal, the ship canal was built, even in the 1850s, 1870s, the people of Newry weren't interested so much in the inland part.
No.
Because all the trade was coming into the port of Newry, and they weren't so much concerned. So that sort of separation between the inland canal and the Maritime Canal, the ship canal, there's always been a bit of conflict there
yeah, I
between the two.
understand.
Yeah.
Well, in your tour of the schools, what was a typical question you were asked by the children?
Well, they're actually quite amazed at the age of it. You know, they cannot believe that this was the first canal. You know, the sort of the history of it.
Yeah.
That was, for me, was something that we had something here that nowhere else in the United Kingdom or Ireland had,
Yes.
and we were the first to have it. It's a bit like the first pyramids, you know. We had the first canal, you know.
And children can be quite competitive. They love that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
They love that.
You know, you can imagine a child from Portadown or Newry saying, you see, I have friends in Bury and that
Yeah.
belong to the Manchester Canal, and they love to tell us about the wonderful canals. But the one thing I have over them is that we had the first canal.
one.
And there's a lovely book by Alton Crowley who talks about the men who built Britain.
Yes.
And he says the people who built the Manchester Ship Canal and the other canals in England were people who probably left, having built the Newry Canal.
They went to the next port of call.
Went over
Yeah.
to build
Fantastic.
in Manchester.
Listen, Liz, thank you for coming in. Brian, thank you for
you.
coming in. Give the rest of the branch my fond regards, and congratulations on what you're doing and achieving. And we look forward to seeing some of your folk next week again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
Thank you.
indeed, Sean.
Thank you.
Hear him before I go to sleep and focus on the day that's been. I realize he's there when I turn the light off and turn over. Nobody knows about my man. They think he's lost on some horizon. And suddenly I find myself listening to a man I've never known before, telling me about the sea, all his loves till eternity. Ooh, he's here again, the man with the child in his eyes. He's here again, the man with the child in his eyes. He's very understanding, he's so aware of all my situations. When I stay up late, he's always waiting, but I feel him hesitate. Oh, I'm so worried about my love. They say no, it won't last forever. And here I am again, my girl, wondering what on earth I'm doing here.
Don't know it yet, but we're beaming out live to the world, lads, at this moment. Greet our friends in New York, Manhattan. Greet them. Okay, you're back with me. It's Rowan Hand, and this is Ciara Sloan with the news update.
Thanks, Rowan. The Public Prosecution Service has said it is standing by its decision not to prosecute 2 people in connection with the toddler's non-accidental death. 20-month-old Liam Gonzalez Bennett from County Antrim died in February 2009 with a total of 31 bruises to his head that medical experts said were possibly as a result of being punched. In a review of its decision not to prosecute, the PPS said that while the child died due to non-accidental injury, there was not enough evidence to prosecute. Emergency NIE staff have been threatened in order to take a device to a police station in Derry, Londonderry, while working on a cable fault in the Cregan area, were approached by masked men, threatened, and ordered to take a device to the city